Day 35. Can I do a more diverse blue room strat? Hope so. Blue rooms. Now, starting with the library isn't pretty. I mean, it's fine, but I'm actually looking for a coat check right now. Or observatory. I think observatory is just something I gotta take every time, because this is like one of the best ways for me to just get a ton of resources. I mean, look at this. Okay, dead end room's not great. Key's good though. 50% off is good. Apples are extra delicious. It's actually not a great haul. It's actually pretty bad. So, now what? Well, I can do reading nook into a second library. Yeah, I just want to gain knowledge, so library will definitely help with that. What if I read the first library and then go from the reading nook? Does that work? Ooh, there's also a treasure map. Wants me to go, okay, E5. So this seemed like an interesting book. Something about realm and ruin. Sigils, I've seen this before. Oh, this is the non-torn up version of the book from the mines. Okay, introduction. What do we got here? Yeah, so these are the 4 things that compose this sigil. Oh, okay, so this is the full core page. Nice, I can replace the old one. However, I did know every core of every realm at this point. Oh, okay, the number of rays will reveal to us what method of transportation was prevalent. Where's the code? Oh, okay, so these different number of lines refer to different types of travel. That is very handy. And then weather, what kind of weather the kingdom considered native. Different moats. The version I have is slightly chopped up. The martial, the military stuff. The border, that's kept intact. Putting it all together. Oh, so Fen Ares. Okay, so yeah, this is the description for this sigil. I have that already. Okay, very nice. Let's see if I can get some more gems or something. Walking closet actually might be okay. Spend a gem to possibly get gems. I also want to launder currency. That might be decent. Yeah, I'll take it. Anything to grab in here? What I need actually is a reminder for the 3 exchanges. So coins and gems, gems and keys, keys and coins. You know what? I do want 24 gems. That sounds nice. Give me that. Nom 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 nom. Thank you. Okay, now I will take a stab at the side room. And no. Maybe tool shed here? Something that could help replace keys. Although I guess actually tomb could have been good for the coins. I suppose it could have. I actually don't hate these either. That can be a net positive for keys and coins. There's a lot to like. I also don't want to run back to tomb frequently. So I'm just hopeful there'll be enough keys. Now, yes, taking stuff like attic is perfect now. Like this will net me some keys and stuff. 3 gems is nothing to me. I do not care. 1 purse interest, broken lever, key. The compass, wonderful. Coin, gem, coupon book, gem. Lots of keys. Yeah, this actually might be a good day. Funny enough, this is the schoolhouse run I probably would have wanted. See what library can give me. New book, what's it gonna be? Curse of Blackbridge sounds interesting. And I'll return to a new clue eventually. Just kind of want to do that last. I don't know if I want to do that last. I just don't want to do it now. Yep, aquarium is pretty much the only choice. That's a shame. Ooh, nothing to see here. What do we got? Might just take storeroom. Yeah, put a natural dead end into the dead end. Thank you. Now, drawing room could be solid. Study would be great eventually. Unfortunately, I do need to split up. So I can get study soon. Definitely gonna go in for a workshop in one of the good spots. Ooh, another key. I am living in it. What do we got here? I'm not ready for the crown yet. I need another thing that splits up, I think. Although laboratory could be fine. Head north with it, try to get a decent experiment. Oh yeah, I forgot also, I dig here. Oh, but I need a shovel. Right. I guess I've just always had a shovel. It's weird to not have one. I can go with something to give me more steps, maybe? Oh. Alright, I will spend 2 or more gems drafting room quite often. Star or chest? I'll take a star. Maybe I'll get to 50. Just good days of like subtly leveling up. All right, can I get to the right? Let's coat check again. Damn it. Oh, I did draft the red room. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Billiard room, head north. And then I'm gonna coat check down below. Maybe if I'm lucky to get a coat check. No, I got coat check. Yeah, that sounds nice. Okay, now I'll try to yeet away the red rooms if they come up. So you got a shovel hiding in there? Probably not, it's a special key most likely. 4 squared is 16, divided by 8 is 2, plus 1 is 3, squared is 9, minus 8 is 1. Oh, I've seen this exact one before, it's 16. 3 divided by 3 is 1, times 3 is 3, squared is 9, divided by 3 is 3. That's a lot of 3s. I'm gonna save this silver key, I think. Maybe I could get a music room later. I'm gonna save it for a little later to try to get 3 doors out of it. Son of a bitch. I should have done the silver key. I got greedy. I knew there was a chance of this happening, but I didn't think it would actually happen. And I don't have a key card, so I can't enter through the foundation. I should have done it. I'm just upset that I got punished. I really wanted to save it for like a 3-door thing. Motherfucker. Alright, I just need a normal day, I think, without the blue stuff. Maybe like I'll activate the Banner of the King later in the day, but just have the early day be a bit more diverse. I just want to keep learning stuff, I think, right now. And I think I'm going back to drafting the side room to begin with. The fucking blessing, in my opinion, was a net negative. Trading post, I suppose? Yeah, I'll take it. Maybe I could gun for bedrooms, and because there's not that many bedrooms, I could then just kind of tear through them quickly and then move on. There's a lot of dead-end bedrooms, so I don't know if I like that. It's just like with trading post, I want to get back there and trade, and that takes steps. You know what? I'll try it. I haven't tried a bedroom strat. We could take a stab at it, see what happens. I'm basically looking for nursery. That's the whole thing that enables this. I'll actually take a regular bedroom right now. See if I can also find a sleeping mask in here. No, just a gem. And look for nursery. Or take a non-bedroom. Commissary is excellent. It's been a while since I've seen you. What do we got? Sleeping mask is very nice. And actually, I guess I can buy out this, so I will. Thank you very much. Give me my 5 steps. I think actually, do I trade now? Like, I don't want salt. Yeah, I'm kind of medium on salt. Let's explore a bit more before I get to trading. Ooh, boudoir. That's fine to get. Take some nice reroll dice. Thank you. So safes always have gems. So I should be opening this, even though I've done it before. And dig. Hey, I got nursery. All right. Not the I have 2 ways to go. Now, there's still a lot of movement that can happen. All right, nursery will basically give me infinite steps, and now I can start trading. Just out of curiosity, what's here? Spare bedroom, that's a nice one. I'll walk through that in a little bit. Is that a rabbit's foot? Hold on, I saw that. A lucky rabbit's foot. Okay, I'll draft 1 more. Ooh, conservatory. Yeah, if I ever see conservatory, I should just draft it. There's no way around it. Yuck. Tin can, gross. Oh, and a lever. Ooh. I could probably trade off the broken lever. Oh, tunnel. I kind of forgot about that. Tunnel I want to see at some point, so I'll make it commonplace. Commissary? Yeah, I really like commissary now, so I'll make that commonplace. Bunk room? I actually don't like bunk room. It's a dead end. Sure, it has the 2-bedroom synergy, but that's only valuable today, and I'll still draft it even though it's rare. It'll show up at some point. It has, like, footstep synergy, but I just don't like it. It's a dead end. What's this? Probably corridor? Now let's see if I can trade. Salt shaker for magnifying glass? Actually, we'll make that trade. I like magnifying glass. Broken lever for salt shaker. Let's see what I can get for salt shaker. Battery pack. You know, sure. I actually like all these right now. This just gets a key, lockpick kit, coupon book, key card, and key. Lots of keys. Was hoping for dice, to be honest. I think I'll check out just west of the commissary. Service quarters is nice. Actually, I kind of exactly wanted chapel. Service quarters will be great later while I just want to harvest keys. And I could break this for a ton of money, but there's actually no need because I bought out the commissary. any dead-end bedroom now. Actually, might go bunk room. Yeah, let's just get this out of the draft pool. I get a ton of stuff here. No complaints. By stuff, I mean steps. Natural, disgusting number of steps. Sheesh. And what do we got north? Probably aquarium? I've only one gem here, huh? Maybe I take funeral parlor then? Yeah, and then maybe I'll get aquarium after this. And if I do, I'd take the 3 gems. Ew. I mean, drawing room gets me a gem, so I might just take that. It's facing the wrong way, but I think I take this. Apples, so not worth it. Yeah, I gotta be playing with the safes in mind. Ray. What do you got? Service scores? No. Billiard room just to head north might be valuable. I think I can get away with this. Although, additional key, because that's what this room basically is for, isn't that valuable to me. I just like number puzzles. That's a lot of numbers. 80 divided by 8 is 10. 2 squared is 4 times 20. 480 divided by 80 is 1. 1 squared times 80 divided by 20 is 4. Sure. I will have more than enough keys. Pool or conference room? Oh, conference room. I need that T piece. Need to let myself have some sort of dead end. Ooh, key card. Very nice. And something else. Shit, so many keys. What we got here? I might go maid's chamber. Downside sucks, but funeral parlor upside rocks. So I'll take it. I get so much from this anyway. I already have a lot of items. Locked? Sure. What do you got? Observatory? That'll probably get me gems back. And what happens when I have Lucky Rabbit's Foot and the maid? I'm not sure. No gems back. Stuff is 50% off. I do not care. I guess green rooms are nice to take if offered. Shit. Well, I didn't have 5 gems anytime soon. Was not on the track for that. Now, I don't like blocking this path. I think I want to head north, so I will reroll. East Wing Hall is perfect. Did I just go get 3 gems now? First, anything valuable in here? Nope. Any red rooms, maybe? Ooh, wow, that's tough. Oh, wait, no, it's not tough. It's actually the only choice. Okay. I see the line. Now I go get my 3 gems, and I just exile all future red rooms. Perfect. So, boxes next to this box contain gems. Boxes next to this box contain gems. This is false. Can't have 2 boxes with gems. Boxes next to this box contain gems. Okay, if this was false, this would also be false. Then we would have 3 falsities. So this must be true. The gems are in here. Excellent. And I guess before I shut this off forever, I'll just take my rooms here. I guess music room? I also want to redraw that later. Meh, I actually don't like it. I'll just go breaker box. And I do have a key card, so I guess entry system should be on. I haven't seen cabinet yet, huh? When's that gonna happen? Armed and ready. Let's continue from here. Ooh, courtyard. Observatory. We'll make sure I get back a gem here. Ooh, got a couple. Do I have a sledgehammer? Actually, no, but I may just use a key regardless. More steps. I mean, never know. I might double back a lot. Broken lever. Ooh. Another thing to double back for. Turnip. And a key. I think I'll just use a key for the chest. Actually, didn't know broken lever could be buried. Nice to know items can be down there sometimes. Okay, another key. Screw it. Give me this. What do we got? Gems. Nice. A little bit of a jackpot. Back here. Key. Probably just hope for like a servant's quarters. Storeroom might be decent. Garage is going to be open. I don't have the car keys. I mean, 3 keys is really powerful. Open up that door. Get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur. Servant's court. Oh, tunnel. Huh. Okay. New thing. Always draw a tunnel while drafting this room. What does this do? What is the tunnel? Just a big old hole. So, locked door. I'm just gonna tunnel to the top. If I get rid of aquarium, do I still draw a tunnel? I don't want to find out. I want tunnel. I want to see how far the tunnel can go. Ooh, big spot. Rock. Fair enough. Here. Tunnel. Always draw tunnel. A chest? You know what? Sure. Why not? Hey, got my key right back. Love it. And a dig spot. Coin, sure. So what happens when I reach the top of the mansion? Like, there's so many tunnels. Surely it won't just give me a tunnel, right? What's in the trunk? My key back. And then some. Tunnel? If I do a tunnel, what happens? Oh, shit! I can keep going north. What the fuck is this? Hold on. What is going on? Oh, wait, no. Does it keep going? Ah, I see. Get a more Jai puzzle. What color do I want? Orange? Okay. What does pink do? Not great things. I'm not fully sure what pink does, but I got an allowance token. Okay, I was kind of hoping I could keep going. What a funny looking thing. Well, I've blocked off a shit ton. Not what I expected to happen today at all. But I saw a tunnel and curiosity mode activated. This shot just looks ridiculous. Oh, the endless tunnels. So, I'm back at this hallway. All things must come from here. Guess veranda is alright. I do need to split up at some point. Can we split up? No, it seems we cannot. Reading nook, I guess, into library. Ah, it's the aquarium. Kind of want aquarium. Library does go north. I'll take the library. Always want to read some books. The Curse of Blackbridge. I've seen this before. It's had something to do with a postcard, right? Okay. It's a legend. It's well known to the people of the Grand Realm. Versions of this tale have been passed down. The story has changed over time and become more horrifying. So there's a lot of versions, but the more I listened, the clearer it became there could never be a definitive version of this tale capable of capturing all the wonder and myth of Blackbridge. In the end, I wrote down what felt most authentic, the story my grandmother told me as a boy long ago. It's story time, everyone! Gather around for the ancient Arindian tale. I invite you to dive deep into its world with me. Close your eyes and open your mind. Put the words in your head as the story is read. Get your best toy or snack from the fridge. Sit back and enjoy The Curse of Blackbridge. Narrated by Aliensrock. Part 1. The Berry Picker for Morris. Many years ago, before peace had become a familiar word, there lived a group of rogues so wayward that the locals deemed it appropriate to call their number the Unholy Hounds. They were feral outlaws composed of society's worst, in a time when society was at its worst, and for each crime that fearful travelers credited to the group, a dozen more lay unclaimed, each worse than the last. For the gentry, however, who often value their coffers more than their companions, no crime could measure more wicked than the group's primary enterprise, highway robbery. One such member of this so-called band of rogues was a boy of 13 years, Jesper, who had not been lucky in life, having lost 2 brothers to war and parents to famine. In the years of hunger that followed, Jesper lived in a gutter behind a churchyard, relying on the nourishment of scurrying bugs and weeds harvested from the cracks of the alleyway to sustain his pitiful existence. It is not surprising that a child aiming to escape such hardships would take any easy road out. An easy and well-traveled road paved with temptations, leading out of the city and into the gentry lands where loose purse and strings entwine with the strands of salvation and glisten equally with the hope of opportunity. It was this road that eventually led Jesper to the end of his youth, a hidden cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. It was here that he met his surrogate family and saviors, the notorious gang of godless outlaws known as the Unholy Hounds. Despite the hardened circumstances that had led him to this vocation of banditry, Jesper was surprisingly tender-hearted and was often teased by the group for being too kind for such an ignoble life. For this reason, Jesper was assigned the innocent role of berry picker. It was not just innocence that set berry picking apart from the gang's more wicked undertakings, for it was the only duty performed without the safety of night's concealment. Jesper, no stranger to solitude, did not protest that he alone worked while the others slept soundly, tucked away in the cave at the bottom of Blackbridge Canyon. On one such occasion, Jesper decided to get an early start. He left the cave, berry basket in hand, and set out into the woods before the morning sun had even brushed against the tallest treetops. It was colder in the morning, but the headway dawn afforded meant Jesper could reach the furthermost berry patches without worry of being chastised for tarrying upon his return. It took over 3 hours on foot to reach his destination, and along the way, Jesper had passed by many a familiar bush, all priorly pillaged and so bereft of berries that one would have to dedicate several moments in earnest examination before finding a single one. Jesper was patient, but even patience has its limits. He was confident that even accounting for the time lost to this long stretch of travel, his efforts would be well worth the pains. Surveying the patches in this new grove surprised even Jesper. The red dots suspended among the leaves seemed as numerous as stars in the skies. Upon seeing such a bounteous sight, he clutches his berry basket tightly and nearly toppled over out of joy. Once he had regained his senses, Jesper quickly made a decision. He would not reveal the location of this newfound treasure. Instead, he would earn the respect of his confederates who, upon seeing his yield, might attribute the success to hard work. Smiling at his plan, Jesper set off to fill his basket, was making steady strides in this task when the sound of thundering hooves interrupted him. A carriage is approaching. The thought of it made Jesper freeze. Had he been so enchanted by his discovery that he had neglected to observe his surroundings? How could a roadway be so close? He ducked down and crept toward the impending sound, hiding behind one of the larger bushes nearby. It was only a moment more before the sound source revealed itself. Within 50 paces of where Jesper hid, an elegant carriage with gold trim came soaring around a corner of trees, led by 2 beautiful white horses and conveyed by a stern-looking driver seated at the top of the vehicle, flaunting the most sophisticated regalia Jesper had ever seen. It was not just any carriage. Even without ever having witnessed such a sight before, Jesper was certain. The sight had so transfixed Jesper that he stood awestruck, unable to tear away as the carriage approached. The little concealment the bush provided was soon proven unequal to the driver's lofty perch, and upon spotting the boy, he pulled the reins with such effect that the noble steed slid to a sudden halt with precise control. "You boy, get out from behind that bush," he shouted with a rigidity that betrayed a modest amount of fear. "You startled me half to death, coming around the bend of my own drive and me seeing such an unfamiliar face in a place where there ought not to be any face." Jesper quickly contemplated running. The man was much older, and his dress was suitable for courtly behavior, not dashing through the bramble and mud. I was picking berries." Jesper raised the half-filled basket up to allow the driver to see the proof of his words. The demeanor of the man suddenly changed. It was a change that Jesper was familiar with. He had many times seen the same stern expressions on the most fiendish bandits melt away when presented with a berry basket. Any suspicions that the driver might have had instantly evaporated, for even the notion of a member of the unholy hounds picking berries seemed partial. The softening expression even made allowances for a smile. "Berries, eh? Say, you couldn't have picked a better spot for them, could you? I used to pick berries here as a boy." Jesper took his cue to finally step forward out from behind the bush, proudly brandishing his basket. "I know, and what luck I have found then. I've only just begun picking, and look how many I have. It would have taken me 4 full the time back home to procure this number." The driver bent down for a closer look. "And where is your home, boy? It must be quite far." Jesper replied with a scripted response. "A little south of Tanner Fork, just past the burnt woods." "My God, that is far. You couldn't have come all that way only this morning?" It was true. Tanner Fork was in the exact opposite direction that Jesper traveled, and while that response would seem perfectly reasonable in a location closer to Blackbridge Canyon, he could see why it might seem less believable here. "Sir, I've traveled much further for much less profit. I dare say there is no distance yet made by man that would not be worth undertaking for a prize such as these. Surely you have tasted them for yourself?" Jesper felt happier with this response, as it seemed to amplify the man's smile. "In my youth often, but perhaps I took it for granted because I had never had to travel very far. And even then, my father would often drive us here in our carriage, so I'm ashamed I had never had to walk such a stretch to earn an equal reward." It was Jesper's time to smile. "Then let my efforts reward us both today." He raised the basket even higher. "A taste in memory of your youth, sir." The driver chuckled and removed one glove, bending over the seat to reach down to the basket. At the moment his fingers touched the first berry, the dagger in turn met his throat, cutting through a superficial layer of skin and drawing blood. Jesper caught the man's startled eyes. "And for that taste, I will have your purse, sir, in memory of my youth." The driver's arm had gone stiff, his chin raised and trembling, more frightened than he had ever been before. Whether unable or incapable of speaking, he did not respond to the boy. Perhaps he did not think his jaw could afford to be engaged at this particular time. Jesper let the basket drop, freeing his other hand to probe the man's pockets. "Do not mistake me, sir. I will not kill you if you give me no cause. Though I will admit the thought of taking your carriage and leaving you the indignity of walking appeals to me." Unable to find a purse in the man's coat, Jesper pivoted to search the seat under him. "Why have you no purse upon your person?" The driver slowly raised his hand cautiously, pointing towards the carriage door behind him. Jesper lowered the knife's edge a small degree to allow the man to speak, which he did in turn softly. "There's a lockbox in the carriage." "Well, come down then and grant me the courtesy of sparing life and binding your hands. A concession I assure you of my tender heart, for it would be much easier to slit your throat." The man started to comply, slowly lowering himself from the driver's seat of the carriage. Once down, Jesper guided him away from the carriage to a nearby tree, where he instructed him to get on his knees and put his hands behind his back. Excusing his inexperience, the man indulged Jesper while he figured out how to adequately bind him. The smile and kindness Jesper had seen on this man's face, now nothing more than a distant memory. In their place, cold, dark eyes displaying no emotion. "I wonder, should I grant you the same clemency you are showing me?" Jesper stopped, surprised by the question, but ignored it, secured the final bindings, then hastily returned to the carriage. With hand on the door's handle, he turned back to the man. "If there is no lockbox, there will be no clemency." Inside, the carriage was surprisingly dusty and unswept, a stark contrast to the elegant and polished golden facade of the exterior. It had apparently been many years since a passenger had enjoyed passage in this vehicle. This all but confirmed what Jesper had suspected. The driver of this carriage was not a liveried servant in the employ of some greater master. Any curiosity that this observation might further produce was quickly abandoned upon seeing what rested under the carriage's backseat: a large wooden lockbox. Despite its hefty appearance, the box was surprisingly easy to handle. Within a few minutes, Jesper dislodged it from its hold and carried it out into the sunlight. Inspecting the box carefully, two observations were made. Totemic symbols found carved on all four sides of the box hinted that the box was very old and likely not created by Arindian hands. It reminded him of artifacts from the old world and was presumably crafted in one of the ancient realms. Secondly, the box was secured by a rusted yet robust padlock and would not easily open without a key. Jesper looked over to see the driver quietly observing him from his indentured position. "Do you perhaps have a key you can provide me to open this box?" Without emotion, the driver replied, "There is no key to that box." Jesper stood up. Easy enough then. He headed over to a nearby rock of sizable dimensions and lifted the stone up, carrying it back to the box. If there ever was a time when that lock had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. With one hit, the stone had completely shattered the rusted lock. He bent back down and opened the lid. Inside was an effigy, a crude figure chiseled from stone. Without too much deliberation, Jesper bent down and picked it up, somewhat surprised how heavy it seemed given how light the box had felt. Having expected to find something more akin to gold or gems, he looked questioningly to the man, hoping to find an explanation. The driver's smile had once again returned. "You are cursed, boy, for deadly is the stone. You have opened that which should never have been opened, and you are cursed." Jesper carried the effigy over to the man and shoved it in front of his face. "What is it?" "That's one." Feeling his disappointment rising to anger now, Jesper tightened his grip on the effigy. "One what, you mumbling agentor? And in God's name, why have you no purse upon your person?" The man did not seem intimidated. "One pace." He paused for effect. 12 more, and you will be dead." He only had a second to flinch before the effigy struck him in the head and put an end to his cryptic ramblings. If there ever was a time when the old man had been resistant to brute force, it wasn't recent. Jesper looked down at the sculpted stone figure, now splattered red. Was it cursed? Was he cursed? He had, of course, heard stories of curses and had never doubted their validity in the past, but now that he was standing face to face with the possibility of being cursed, his mind pleaded with him to be skeptical. And if he was cursed, what difference would the knowledge make? A dozen more paces would not be enough to find another living soul, to say nothing of the chances of procuring a remedy. If he did not move from where he now stood, he could live maybe another 3 or 4 days, maybe more given the abundance of nearby berries. A plan that, if we ignore its obvious fault, might provide additional opportunities for help to come along. But what good would that do? To be discovered here beside a body, stolen goods in hand, bloated from berries, and raving about a curse that could very well not be real. No. It would most certainly be better to face one's fate now, take a dozen paces, and see if life goes on. But Jesper found his legs unable to make that first step. His mind was unable to convince his limb to waste away 1/12 of his life in a single motion. Feeling the desperation sink in, he hopelessly looked about him for a solution. And if, By some stroke of luck, the gods had heard his plea. A miracle materialized before him as if he found himself suddenly at the end of a fairy tale. 2 white horses and a carriage of golden trim were beside him, the answer to his immediate prayers. He laughed at his fortune and calculated the short number of paces back to the road. 4. Perhaps only 3 if he jumped. He made a quick survey to see if there was anything he wished to grab before taking the plunge. He thought about removing the driver's fancy coat, as that appeared to be of some value, but the additional risk of undertaking such a task too great to chance. And so, after a profound breath, he took his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th steps, though they were quite large. Seated now behind the horses, he reached for the reins and suddenly realized that he was still gripping the effigy. If the curse was real, then it would most certainly be better left here. If, on the other hand, the story was fictitious, there might be some appraisal that could be made of the figure. It was, after all, found within a lockbox whose typical function oft-secures objects of value. Having witnessed firsthand the horrors of destitution, Jesper found his mind equally reluctant to allow his hand to let go. If it is cursed, I die. If not today, then tomorrow. And if I die, what care have I? And with that statement said aloud to the horses seemingly, Jesper took up the reins with confidence. Part 2. Below the Blackbridge. Miller awoke to some light nudging from a familiar foot. Only one person would have the cheek to awaken her in such an ill-mannered fashion. Shaking the sleep from her eyes, she glared up at him into the darkness, but did not say a word. He nudged her again, teasingly, then stepped back into the dim. After taking a moment for her eyes to adjust to the darkness of the cave, Miller remembered. She was on 3rd watch today. Quietly collecting her things and wits, Miller turned as she left, waving to her young friend, who was more than likely already asleep. She crept through the cavern's main passage, careful to not awake the sleeping bandits around her. Like a hero in a book, she often mused. Quietly, she grabbed the bow from the haphazardly formed pile of weapons, shaking the accompanying quiver in the darkness to assess how many arrows it held. She then walked towards the sun-drenched mouth of the cavern, ready to start her shift. Above her, in one of the few trees found in the canyon, Miller could see that Ravia was already posted. She waved and Ravia waved back. Calling out to each other was strictly forbidden. Anything louder than a gesture into the canyon was forbidden. When Miller reached the tree, Ravia lowered a braided rope and pointed to the ground behind her. Miller turned, following the finger, and saw a pail of water resting beside a nearby log. She turned back to Ravia, nodded, and secured the pail to the rope. The pail went up first, and in turn, Miller followed. Ravia reached across to grab the water. Miller leaned back to give her space. There was not much room for maneuvering in this tree post, a necessary concession for the concealment the outpost demanded. Ravia tilted the pail up to her mouth dramatically, illustrating how thirsty she had been. Miller laughed silently as water poured out, splashing onto Ravia's face. It was a bit too daring and noisy of a joke, and had the others been around, they would have certainly been scolded for the unwarranted sound. But Miller appreciated the effort Ravia took to verbalize the silence of the morning. They had been on 3rd watch together for over a month, and during that speechless time, their friendship had grown into something special. Affection was surprisingly scarce among the unholy hounds. She had felt camaraderie before, of course, but intimacy? Never. From their elevated vantage, the girls could see both the concealed entrance of the cavern as well as a clear view of the bridge that spanned across the canyon. Blackbridge was the link between the Gentry lands and the northern mountains, the overpass that connected Orris and Reddington. To the city-faring travelers of the realm, the bridge was an unavoidable crossing. In the day, the task was to ensure that travelers passed by without stopping. At night, the task was to ensure that they do. Like most of her band, Miller preferred the night. The biting glare of the sun might be tolerable to farmhands and bricklayers, but to a cavern-housed bandit, it was a source of constant annoyance. In the day, there was no shroud to conceal her expression, nor to hide her thoughts. She felt exposed. Ravia touched her elbow and pointed up. Miller, striving to suppress a budding smile, suddenly shook her head in response. There were many signs that the unholy hounds used in lieu of words, but the two of them had developed an extended vocabulary. Gestures quietly forged in the shared solitude of their month among the branches. She watched as Ravia shifted, placing her palms flat on the floorboards beneath them. Miller knew what she was trying to say, but shook her head a second time. It was often more fun to pretend not to understand. Ravia rolled her eyes and turned away, looking back to the canyon. Squinting through the leaves, the two girls held still, watching and listening. It was not long until Miller, too, heard the sounds of approach. Ravia held up two bent fingers, and a few moments later, two men emerged from the bridge's southern end. They were dressed in a familiar uniform, long gray coats with black facings, white waistcoats, and black tricorn hats. They belonged to the local patrol, the Blackguard. Although not an everyday occurrence, their presence at Blackbridge wasn't an unusual sight. It typically indicated an important traveler's impending passage across the bridge, information that the girls would promptly relay to the leaders as soon as the coast was clear. But this report, while exciting, was rarely acted upon. In Miller's 5 years in the Unholy Hounds, she had never once seen a carriage taken in open daylight when the Blackguard was nearby. The men had nearly reached the bridge's north end when Miller heard the horses, faintly at first, but growing louder with each passing moment. Ravia's eyes met Miller's, the same concern mirrored in each other's expression. This did not sound like the typical carriage, cautiously approaching the bridge to cross. Instead of the familiar crunch of the high road's gravel, they heard the harsh clattering of hoofbeats against stone. Both girls redirected their attention downwards, looking through the foliage. The sounds were not coming from the high road, but from the canyon itself. The horses were coming from below the bridge. In an instant, Miller had knocked an arrow and drawn her bow. Go! Ravia was gone before the whisper had even left Miller's mouth. The young scout was already sliding down the bank below, racing towards the cave. There was no road that ran below the canyon. There was no reason for numerous horses to be approaching their cave. There was only one reasonable conclusion, and both girls had reached it instantly. The base had been compromised. This was a Blackguard attack. The moment the horses came into view, Miller let loose her first arrow. She was surprised to see a carriage. She had expected cavalry. Before she even finished processing that thought, her second arrow was in the air. Without a trail, it would be unthinkable for a carriage to traverse such rough terrain, yet she watched as the wheels jolted over the rocky riverbed. A third arrow was now in flight, and there would be no need for a fourth. The driver slumped over just moments before the vehicle dipped into a small ditch, slamming into an embankment. The force of this sudden halt immediately shattered the front two wheels and catapulted the driver from his seat. Utterly confused now, Miller quickly glanced over his shoulder to see if any horses were also approaching from the rear. Down in the canyon, the entire horde of the Unholy Hounds came spilling forth from the earth as if hell itself had suddenly sprung open. The group seemed even more bewildered than Miller, half asleep and tripping over one another in a desperate attempt to engage an unseen enemy in combat. Miller could see Ravia among their number, the only one looking up at her. Her expression was chilling. There would be no need for a silent gesture to convey what they both now realized. They had made a mistake. The gang's chieftain, Jeffrey Heartslasher, led the others, cautiously approaching the crashed carriage like a suspicious fox would near a baited trap. There were no words exchanged as the group crept forward in customary silence. A dozen or so paces in front of the wreckage lay a far-flung driver, an arrow protruding from his broken body, and beside him a blood-stained effigy carved from stone. Miller was inconsolable. Jesper had always been her favorite. He had always shadowed her in the night, clinging to the hems of her every move the way a child tails behind an older sibling. Tender-hearted, she had always called him, though deep down she had known that wasn't quite true. His appearance of gentleness concealed a raw, resilient durability that emerged in the most perilous of situations. He had been a flower among the nettles of this cave, but he still had thorns, honed by a grim past and 100 hands of misfortune. They buried him in the darkness, in the back of one of the larger cavern rooms. He was interred with a berry basket and a silk handkerchief that he had treasured. The mysterious effigy they had found beside him served as a distinguished gravestone, a marker that stood out as somewhat special among the rows of similar swords marking neighboring plots. No one spoke, not even in whispers. There was nothing to say. Miller awoke the next day to a thunderous shaking and rattling of the earth. A far cry from the playful nudging of the previous day. She strained to adjust her eyes, but the choking sting of stirred-up dust caused her to flinch. Panic was also in the air. The sounds of scurried footsteps and clattering feet filled the space around her, but even in alarm, the silence was louder. What was it that sounded so strange? Miller closed her eyes tight and used her feet to guide her along the passage. The whispers around her were getting louder, and intense voices could be heard ahead. Louder speech than she had ever heard spoken in the canyon. A growing dread grew as Miller approached the mouth of the cave, her eyes now wide open despite the dust. Shouldn't it be day? Miller felt a hand in the darkness, pulling at her. It was Ravia. The two embraced, and Miller did not need to see her to understand. Ravia placed two bent fingers against Miller's cheek, and with that touch against her face, Miller felt the same sinking feeling from the previous day. Two bent fingers confirmed what Miller had suspected. The girls had forgotten to relay one critical piece of information to the others. An hour or so later, the screams began. Blood-curdling cries of hopeless desperation. Captain Fodrick Lee of the Blackguard looked down from the ridge of the canyon to the collapsed entrance of the cave. Ah, he he grinned. Now they speak. And that has been the curse of Blackbridge. Open your eyes and return now to the world of blueprints, as my journey has not yet ended. I don't want weight room. Surely I can find something better. Treasure trove, servants' quarters. I think treasure trove. I can do a lot with that. Yoink. Alright, anything good in this box? The true treasure of the trove is not in the house. This is a sun and a blue box. Green memos in blue boxes are true. So this must be true then. Yeah, this is definitely a room I want to keep revisiting. Master bedroom, is that worth it? Is it dead end? So I'll see if dining room can do anything better. I mean, it's equally a shit ton of steps anyway, so whatevs. She didn't get my aquarium yet. Dig for it. Unfortunately, there's still some major keys I haven't seen. I actually did kind of want to return to the servants' quarters at some point. I know this seems weird, but I can keep going in a different room if I really want. All right, there are 12 major keys. This is Hartley's room. Green memos in here are always false. There are not 12 major keys. Now, I wonder why there's bells to all these rooms. I guess that's just like because of the servant. I was kind of hoping there'd be like another green memo in here. That'd be cool. What was this? Mr. Rhoda. Mrs. Babbage has told me you'll be overseeing network maintenance over the next few weeks while I'll be gone. I'll apologize in advance for the extra workload. I'll be back and ready by the middle of February, but even that is not a certainty. Either way, I don't anticipate there'll be any major issues while I'm gone, as the difficulties we were having last month with a terminal connection seem to be resolved. If there is an emergency and you find yourself having to enter the central server site, I've set you up with a temporary admin key to allow you access to the network administrator controls. It's the first 4 letters of your last name, followed by the first initial. The first and 5th character should be capitalized. Oh shit, I have an admin key. Hartley. Well, that's his first name, isn't it? Oh shit. Oh, Rhoda. You know, the address at the top of the letter. So R-U-O-T-H? Okay, cool. Well, how exciting to finally get the admin key. Oh, here's something fun. I actually don't have the word or the letter for this room. However, it's crown and crow. O-U-N-T. I feel like it's going to be count. Would it be like, if we count small gates, 8 dates crack 8 safes? Would that be the message? I mean, possibly. I'd like to solve the puzzle. Now, I guess I won't be able to verify the upper left too, but I mean, it seems like a pretty realistic idea. Well, now I can also trade broken lever for salt shaker for dye. Actually, that's fine. I think that's all I want now until I see the rooms from the foundation. So finally, I have the password for this. R-O-U-T-H. Wait, not found? Oh, I spelled that wrong. R-U-O-T-H. The admin key has been deactivated. Wait, what? It doesn't work? Well, fuck you. Why has it been deactivated? Suck my nuts. Hopefully another admin password turns up sometime. Okay, so I can cheese out a couple more rooms just by calling the elevator down from here. Well, you know what? I'm kind of curious. Can I squish myself? No, I just phased through the floor. Ah, I was definitely expecting a you died to happen. Well, that begs the question. Am I even a man or a spirit? Do I just float through space itself? I guess I do have a body, as shown in like a couple cutscenes. How bizarre. Also, how fun to actually enter from this room. I got infinite keys. Let's see. Dark room can get yeeted. Thank you very much. And, well, these stink. Well, I guess I'm looking for rooms that actually accomplish things for me. Not just getting stuff out of the draft pool. So I'll redraw right now. Might just be planetarium at this rate. Yippee. This would have been an interesting day had I not tunneled. It's too late for laboratory. And the tunnel was certainly interesting. Just not what I expected. Oh, there's not a dig hole here. You can have a kennel without a dig hole. Interesting. Puppy! Hello, boy. So cute. And nope, didn't get shit. Anything about an admin key here? Nope, don't see it. After dropping off crown on the coat check and some coins at the chapel, I feel like there's only one place to call today. I feel like I've been closing up some small threads, but unfortunately not making progress on my big ones recently. Hopefully tomorrow I can get something good going.